When you're first learning how to code, it can often feel like every project you do, you're starting from scratch. Every new language, every new tool, it's like you have to watch 10 separate tutorials before you can even start building something real. What if you could learn everything you need? GitHub, React, APIs, backend, cloud deployment, while actually building real projects. Don't get me wrong, these videos and tutorials are really great if you're trying to learn one specific tool. But as a beginner, you don't really know what you don't know, so learning tools in isolation instead of in real projects is not necessarily the best way to learn. So the goal of this series is going to be to avoid learning in isolation instead of in real world projects, wasting hours of tutorials instead of actually building something, and having no portfolio or GitHub after months of studying. Instead, we're going to build projects that teach you naturally, learn GitHub, deployment, APIs, and full stack development as we go. And then we're going to end up with a portfolio and a GitHub without all the extra effort. So the way that I've set this up is I've separated the series into 6 phases. Phase 1 is front end. This is where you're going to learn things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. Phase 2 is the back end. That's where you're going to learn things like Node.js and how to use databases. An example of a project that we'd be building is a fully functioning blog with an interface that allows users or yourself to add, edit, and delete posts. Phase 3 is going to be full stack. That's where we're going to combine what we learned in phase 1 and 2. Phase 4 is going to be DevOps and deployment. That's where you're going to learn to use tools like Azure App Services. Phase 5 is going to be our AI, ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning phase. This is where you're going to learn how to use things like OpenAI's API and build things like chatbots. And then finally, we have phase 6, which is going to be your software engineering best practices. This is where we're going to go over things like Git, clean code, testing, that fun stuff. So why does this actually work, and how are we avoiding tutorial hell? So every project introduces a new tool as you go. There's not going to be a separate set up GitHub tutorial. You're going to learn by doing it while you work on your project. We're also implementing a portfolio first approach. The very first thing we're going to do, learning our front end development, is going to be build a portfolio. So then as we go and build new projects, we can add to this portfolio. You won't have to go back later and build a new one. And then also we have a GitHub and Azure first setup. Every single thing you're going to be doing is going to be pushed to GitHub and deployed on Azure, so you actually have professional, presentable code. Everything you do, all of these skills that you are learning will be marketable skills. So all that being said, if you're ready to stop watching tutorials and ready to start building actual projects, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and put a comment below.